For the past year, the larger part of our education has been conducted online by distance, as for the rest of the high school students in Sweden. How has this affected our learning? Is online education the future? And what are the pros and cons? To find answers to these questions, we've asked people from different position and experience of education in Linköping and looked at research about the experiences and effects of online education.
I think that really online education has split the students into three main groups. I think there's the group that will continue to, even if they have to work twice as hard, continue to study and to maintain their grades and study results. There's a group that feel that when they're at home they lose a lot of the distractions and as a consequence get more work done, can be more effective. And there's also the group that will feel that the education has become too hard and will in some sense fall behind. The main difference is really, I think it's been a larger gap between the students that are studying really hard and have quite easy for school. They become quite good in general, and there's definitely a group that will have a lot tougher time.
So, good. I think that for some or I know, I'm not going to say I think, but I know that some of my students have found this extremely troublesome. Many kids evolve with others more than they evolve on their own, and this is regardless of if it's in the learning process or just socializing. And many kids have unfortunately had to remove a very big part of them to evolve with others. So some are finding this very troublesome, while others believe this to be a beautiful way of learning in their very own way. To be able to lie in bed and do your homework, to be able to do part of an exam or an exercise for 30 minutes and then moving forward and maybe doing something completely different for 30 minutes, to be able to manage your own time in your own way. So I think it's a little bit 50-50 when it comes to how my students have reacted to the online teaching.
A lot of people probably feel more lonely than they usually would have done. Normally there's always, especially for the new students, there is gatherings and events almost every weekend. So you can always have something to look forward to. For most of the people that move here don't know anyone before they arrive here. So if you're new to Linköping and you have no gatherings or events to go to, it might be harder to make friends, and I guess a lot of people feel lonely about it. And since it is a pandemic, you're mostly inside, and you don't travel to campus and you just stay at home. So I think a lot of people are moving less than they usually do, and I guess that has a negative impact on the general well-being of, since you're inside and not getting fresh air and moving around. So I think it has both a negative effect on the health in general and the way morally how people feel.
When we're talking about online education, we usually refer to feelings of loneliness or lack of motivation, but for a lot of people that hasn't been the case. A lot of people find it easier to study at home, and it has opened a lot of new doors to educate yourself in your own way. Online education is and has been on the uprise for a couple of years now, and because of the pandemic, it's had a big boost. And the online learning industry was worth an impressive $107 billion in 2015, $144 billion in 2019, and the industry is expected to pass $307 billion by 2026, which is a huge increase.
If you're a student and part of the positive feels towards online school, because I think it is a 50-50 situation, then you will have a positive future reaction and experience, because you have kind of foreseen what will go on for your future work life. Because much of what we do now is done and taken care of online, as opposed to the other end of the spectrum, the 50% of kids that have been feeling certain troubles in connection to the distant learning. The students will probably feel a setback in being able to socialize and so on.
I think there's one really big benefit. For example, there is a lot of people that live far away from Linköping University. It's easier for people to attend classes if they just have to start a computer. So I think that's a good way for it. I mean, you always have the option, even if you're sick, you can still attend the classes and you don't miss out on important things. So that's probably the biggest benefit from the pandemic. And I guess that Linköping University and other campuses, even in the future, will probably have that possibility to make it easier for people that live far away to be able to attend their studies as well.
So the pros and cons of distance learning are basically endless, but how will this affect our youth and how will this affect our society? The pandemic has affected everyone, and studies show a significant negative impact on people's well-being, especially in youth. And the interesting part about that is going to be seeing if online education actually made an impact, if people learn more or less, comparing to younger and also older generations.
During the past year, I've been in the board for the student body at school. We're right now, on the national level even, we're talking about like the educational debt. What will the future look like when there's a generation who has lacking education of some sort? And it's not, if you think about the youngest ages that go to school up to university level, there's a lot of people that in some way will have a really different education for 1 year. And that change will definitely affect like a domino effect in the future. So we might see different knowledge when people get employed, newly employed, but also having a tougher time applying to university, both with keeping up the grades, but also having the knowledge to study at that level.
I think for students that have worked hard on evolving their social skills, not being able to practice their social skills for a little over a year now is going to bring them a bit of setback. It's very harsh to say that they will experience some sort of setback, but I believe, unfortunately, that that's one of the long-term effects of having been at home more or less for an entire year. Students that are not socially affected by distant learning or online teaching will have an easier time partaking in, I'm not going to say modern social circumstances, but will have had a good chance to understand their possible future, because many of the things that we do now are being done online. And that's that.